welcome to this episode of the Minnesota Left-handers Podcast. Got a few things happening in the world of golf that, some big news involving Phil Mickelson that I'll chat about a little bit today. The PGA Tour is jumping on bracket season, putting the Dell Match play right in the midst of March Madness. It's a good time to take advantage of all of our bracket talk. Our minds are on our brackets and all those things. So they're placing the Dell Match play right in the middle of March here. I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on who might win, names to look out for, the grouping strategy that happens right away in the beginning, and why the PGA Tour should do more of this, should have more different formats, different exciting ways that we get to watch golf. Those of us who play in league, we get to play different formats. I mean, I play a variety of different formats in my league, and then I go watch a PGA Tour, and it's 4 rounds of stroke play. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's some interesting stuff, playoffs, low scores, all that stuff, and how it all builds. I get it, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to see some of those guys playing some of the same formats that you and I do in our leagues. Couple of famous moments from the Match Play Championship, hint 2006. So we'll talk a little bit about that. It is almost course opening time here in Minnesota. We are getting there. The weather's starting to look up a little better. I say this as I look outside and there's a little bit of snow falling, but it's just flurries, and we know that stuff melts quick. We'll take a look at maybe the extended weather forecast and talk about a few courses that are opening up here as the warm weather gets closer, and we can start to think about golf around here in Minnesota. Oh, I've also got a Des Moines Golf recap. I got back this weekend. Enjoyed it very, very much. I'm going to talk about the courses I played and why you should take a golf trip solo. Kind of my experience and what happened for me and kind of the fun that I had. So let's get to it. I think we'll start here with some big news out of the golf world. Reigning PGA Championship champion Phil Mickelson will not be playing in the Masters. This was announced just a couple of days ago. We aren't privy. We aren't really ever told exactly when there is a suspension, because as part of the PGA Tour bylaws or rules or just code of ethics or however they want to phrase it, they don't have to say if a player is suspended. That stuff has sort of been shrouded in mystery in the past. If you recall, Dustin Johnson was took an extended 6-month leave to work on his health or something, but there was plenty of suspicion that it had to do with drug addiction, and he may have been in rehab and all that, but we don't ever actually know, because most of us don't actually get to see DJ very much, and he's just out of sight, out of mind for 6 months, and then he's back, and I think actually better than ever after he came back. But we don't know where he was or why he was gone necessarily. We can't say for certain that was a suspension, and the same is true here with Phil Mickelson. All we know is that he will not be playing in the Masters. News that came out late last week. Quick timeline of events here that you got. Well, let's go back. Let's backtrack a little more to the PGA Championship last May. Phil kind of caught lightning in a bottle. It was fun to watch. He's the lovable oaf Phil Mickelson. Giving his thumbs up here and there, kind of everywhere, and just everything worked in his favor. He didn't have a great season, but he did win the PGA Championship. Kind of, like I said, caught lightning in a bottle, and as the oldest major champion now, it's kind of a neat thing for him. I think a lot of people like Phil, and we're happy to see him win. And then Live Golf and the Super Golf League, the Saudi Golf League, all that showed up. He had his opinions. There was all this stuff about leverage against the tour. He referred to the tour's obnoxious greed and all of this stuff. He referred to the Saudis as scary. And then we'll pause there. Mother something. We'll pause there and keep this a little bit family friendly. And all of this stuff just, I think, rubbed Jay Monahan the wrong way, the commissioner of the PGA Tour. I think it just rubbed him the wrong way. And, Phil was critical of the tour. Can you be critical of the tour? I would like to think that you could be, but maybe he pushed the wrong buttons. I'm not here to analyze whether he should or shouldn't be suspended. The current question is he? And for how long, and what effect will that have on the Masters and his future schedule? He came out and apologized, sort of, for that. Whether we need to do the whole apolodazzle parade, I don't know. Is that necessary? Was it something he needed to do? Was it something he needed to say? I don't know. But he did. And I will sort of criticize the apology itself. I'm not sure that it was much of an apology. It just kind of fell flat because there was some sincerity that was lacking. And so we kind of have to just keep an eye on what his next steps might be here. Once this happened, it was like he got just raked over the coals by some journalists at golf.com, Golf Digest. I've got an article here that I'm going to talk a little bit about from SI. Did he ruin his reputation? Everything that he had built for so many years, is that just gone in one short week of him taking a stand? Should it be gone? Should he be allowed to make those comments? Is that something that he should be careful of his reputation for? I don't know. The article from SI that I thought was interesting is titled, "Phil Mickelson is now in exile, and no one knows what his next move might be." Bob Harig, March 22nd, 2022. Phil, I believe, has played in the Masters every year for something like the last 28 years or something. Like, it's crazy. It's a long time. Might not quite be 28 years, but it's a long time. And for him not to, and to be a reigning major champion, the PGA Championship last year, and then be a healthy scratch at the Masters it raises some suspicion. We don't know quite what it's going to mean, but I thought Bob Harig had some interesting perspective here. The Harig article, written on March 22nd. It's interesting because it brings up a lot of questions. First and foremost, to me, this looks and smells like a suspension. And whether it is or isn't a healthy scratch from a current major championship at the Masters, it raises eyebrows. In light of how critical he was of the PGA Tour, all, of course, in his words, to make the changes needed to the PGA Tour, whether he was trying to use that tour, the SGL as leverage or whatever, I don't know. But my question is, does that matter? Is that so wrong? Is it worth a suspension? I'll have a clip of PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan in just a minute here. And Monahan would argue that point, that it is wrong, that maybe you shouldn't do that. But it also looks like it might be a silencing. I don't know. It just doesn't look good. Harig addressed Phil Mickelson's comments head on, saying from the article here, "Fellow players have criticized him. Companies he endorsed have dropped him. His longtime club sponsor, Callaway, has put their relationship on a pause. And now Mickelson, who has not played in a tournament in nearly 2 months, is extending his leave with all the manner of conjecture, but no official reason. Personal problems, money issues, PGA Tour suspension, Augusta National telling him to stay home. All of it's out there, but none of it's corroborated. We are only left to guess." Is there a way back for Mickelson? Earlier this month at the PGA Championship, PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan suggested that there is, that it's up to Mickelson to make a call, and that he would answer. But getting to that point is seemingly harder than envisioned. So Monahan had this to say regarding Phil Mickelson's absence.
How did you react to seeing somebody who's been such a big part of the tour have those direct comments about the tour and its leadership?
Well, I was disappointed. I was very disappointed. And several days later, he came out and he said that he wanted to step away and he wanted to take time to reflect. And I'm going to honor and respect that request and honor and respect the statement that he made. And at some point in time when he's ready to return to the PGA Tour, we'll have a conversation. But again, I think it's important that he has the time that he needs to get there. And so that's kind of that's how I look at it.
If he wanted to play here this week, could he have played?
No, he chose to step away to be able to spend the time to reflect. So it's moot.
But that's not something that the tour had a stop sign up that you can't play here this week?
There's no stop sign up.
Is there a place for him to come back?
There's always a place, Mike. And I look at Phil as a player who, over 30 plus years, won 45 times out here, is a Players Champion, is a World Golf Hall of Famer. And again, when he's ready to have a conversation, we'll have a conversation.
And back to the Herrig article. Now, Mickelson is in exile. That great victory somehow enveloped like the crowd that followed him on the final hole. The tranquility of Augusta National seemed a natural place to begin the healing. But the pain will only linger with another question looming. Could Phil Mickelson skip the defense of his PGA Championship title at Southern Hills? It seems unthinkable, but so did missing the Masters. It's an interesting point. How long does this linger on? How long does this go? I mean, is there a chance that he doesn't defend his own title? That would be, especially as a healthy scratch, I mean, that would be, I gotta believe, unprecedented. I don't know for certain, but I gotta believe it would be really close to unprecedented. I don't know that it would ever have happened before. And so we'll have to see where this lands and how this plays out. Because again, the longer it goes on, the longer it also feels like a silencing. I don't know, like don't question us. We'll have to see. But on the flip side, guess who's still in the field at the Masters, at least according to Masters.com? Yeah, Tiger. Still on the list of competitors. This, of course, is huge news. It's 2 weeks away. And after that interview with Jim Nantz at the Genesis, it did not sound like he'd be ready. He said something about a little hit and giggle, and we're kind of, I think, probably referring to that PNC back in December. But it was the walking, the stamina that he could not keep up. This prompted a ton of speculation that St. Andrews might be the best place for him to return because it's flat. TV does not do the hills at Augusta justice. But again, 2 weeks out, here we are. He's still in the field. Maybe he plays. Why? I mean, I think we know why. But why the golf world is so tied to a 51-year-old and a 47-year-old is just not something we ever expected. But these two have meant that much to the game. So, yeah, let's hope that we see Tiger. Well, let's hope for what's best for him when he thinks he's ready. But if he stays on that list, I'd love to see him. All right, next I feel compelled to recap my Des Moines trip. I got back last weekend. I was there. I left early Saturday, 4 a.m. on Saturday morning, and got home at 11 o'clock on Sunday night. It was a fair amount of driving, but I got 36 holes in, and honestly, it was a ton of fun. I tweeted this last week when I returned at 11 p.m. on Sunday night. I said a few thoughts about my solo golf trip to Des Moines. 1, do it. Go on a golf trip by yourself. Get paired with locals, chat with them. It was really fun. 2, they are fiery about their college basketball. And then I tagged the Gophers because I just want to see them do better. Iowa and Iowa State fans really care, and we can too. I am trying. This is becoming the time of year that I do this, during that first weekend of March Madness. And honestly, it's so much fun. It's awesome to just be able to throw whatever game is on my phone, maybe hook it up to a speaker and just keep tabs on that as I'm golfing. It's become something I really enjoy. 3, it's affordable. I paid $110 for 4 rounds. $110 for 4 rounds. That's an average of like $27 a round or $28 a round. And that included 2 rounds with cart. I mean, just unbelievable. It's awesome. So from that perspective, it's totally worth it. Last year, I went to Arizona last winter. We were still kind of coming out of the COVID year, and so flights were excessively cheap, and we were able to do that fairly reasonably, but that weekend was still twice as much as this weekend was, maybe even more, because the rounds are just so cheap, and you can get there in 4 hours. You know, gas was probably, well, it 100% was my biggest expense. And if that's your biggest expense, it's not the end of the world. I played a course called Beaver Creek, in a suburb, I suppose, of Des Moines. And then I played Waveland, I think is how it's pronounced, which is one of the city courses in Des Moines City courses, along with Jester Park, A.H. Blank, and Bright Grandview. Waveland is sort of the premier of those, though. It's the one a couple years ago that I was recommended to play, and I had played previous. But the more I play it, the more I realize, the more I think that it's really cool. Not super long. I want to say 6,400 yards from the tips. And they didn't even have those tees out yet. I probably played somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,200 yards. But it defends itself super well. Greens were small. And you really had to play the ground. I mean, you had to be aware of where your ball was going to bounce, careful where you land it, all those sorts of things. It was, and it's Waveland because it's like the opposite of what you think of in Iowa. You think of flat and corn and whatever, and it's not that at all. I mean, it is up and it is down. I played 36 there. I walked the front 9, and then I rode the second because I had to. It was necessary. My legs were spent. Beaver Creek the day before, the first 18, the original 18, the East and West course, East and West 9. They have 3 9s. The East and West 9, sort of the original 18, and I don't know. I mean, it was fine. It's a great city course. It's accessible by everyone. You can't get yourself into too much trouble, but the challenge just isn't there. And then I went over to the South course, and that's definitely the best of the 3. You're playing every club in your bag. You're on par 4s. You're taking irons off the tee. You gotta play to the left side of the fairway because the whole thing runs to the right. You're up. You're down. You're elevated greens, elevated tee boxes. I mean, it was a really cool 9. Much more engaging than the first 18 for sure. So 2 courses worth playing if you're on your way there or passing through or whatever the case might be. But it's worth it. I mean, there are other courses that were recommended to me that are nicer. They're going to cost a little more. But I mean, it really sounds like I caught some really fun golf holes when I played on this trip in Des Moines. It is honestly becoming a can't miss trip for me. The Dell Match play is next on my agenda of things to talk about here. We are through the group stage and on to the weekend, which is your bracket. Everyone's taking advantage of bracket season. This tournament, I don't know that it's always been here on the calendar this time of year, but this has been around for a while. They played at Dove Mountain in Tucson for a long time, and currently it's in Austin at Austin Country Club in Texas. And then the format changed. I think probably about the time that they switched courses, they switched the format. There's a group stage where everyone gets 3 rounds. So they get a Wednesday, a Thursday, and a Friday. And I kind of wasn't sure what to think of it, and then I read this. Well, it's about sponsors. Sponsors don't want to see, their guy lose on a Thursday and then just be done, because that's what happens. You don't even get to the weekend. You're just done if you're done, right? That's how brackets work. It's single elimination. So the group stage gets everyone at least 3 rounds, gets their logo, their symbol on on TV a couple of times. But we have reached the winner of each group gets entered into the match play angle, the match play weekend. The round of 16 is this. Rahm and Koepka tomorrow. Dustin Johnson and Richard Bland. Seamus Power and Tyrrell Hatton. Scotty Scheffler and Billy Horschel. Kevin Kisner, Adam Scott. Will Zalatoris against Kevin Na. Kanaya against Connors. And Morikawa against Answer. Gotta tell you, out of the left side of the bracket here, Rahm, Koepka, Scheffler and Horschel. That's a good one too. I would love to see. I would love to see Rahm and Scheffler go at it. I think that would be good. That would be a fun round, or a fun match play, fun match. And out over on the other side, Morikawa Answer, Kanaya Connors, Zalatoris Na, and Kisner Scott. I don't know. It feels like Morikawa's for the taking. Just no one there really stands out to me as someone who is going to challenge Morikawa. I'm going to say that you're looking at a Rahm Morikawa final with Morikawa taking it. But considering where we're at here, one of the days has to be 36. I would guess that tomorrow is 18 holes on Saturday, and then Sunday you've got an early Sunday 18 and then a late Sunday 18. So lots of golf still to be played this weekend. It's bracket season. Everyone's taking advantage of that. So I will post this round of 16 photo out on my social media. That's at Minnesota Left-handers on Instagram, on Twitter, and then I'll post this podcast everywhere that I always do. You'll see it on my Substack. I also post it on Spotify and Podbean and YouTube, so you can find it there in any of those places. And lastly, of course, the State Lefty Open, which is the whole reason for this podcast in the first place. The State Lefty Open is July 16th and 17th out at Riverwood National in Otsego. 18 holes on Saturday, 18 holes on Sunday. Saturday round starts at noon. The Sunday round starts at 9 a.m. Give you a chance to get into town in the morning, and then a quick getaway in the afternoon. Saturday is going to be a busy day. We have 9 holes of Big Cup skins across the street at Vintage in the evening, 6 p.m. This is for anyone, really, but particularly if you can't commit to 2 days, by all means, let's get signed up for that 9-hole skins. I would love to fill that up as well. I just think that that's a cool way to get people engaged, to get new guys to meet some of the guys who've been around for a long time. Really fun way to do that. And then, obviously, as far as lodging, you're kind of in a unique spot. You got St. Michael, or I suppose Albertville, just a little bit away to the south, Otsego to the east, and Monticello to the west. My thought is probably go Otsego. You got lots better dinner options, and they're about the same. They're five miles away. Everything's about 5 miles away from Riverwood. And then we're back Sunday for the last 18 of the tournament. So, and as a reminder here, this is not a tournament that, it's got this name, the State Lefty Open. But it's not a tournament that cares about your score. Yeah, sure, scores in the 70s are going to win, but why wouldn't they? They should. We've got a bunch of flights. Plenty of guys are going to be mid to upper 90s. But plenty of guys will be in the 80s. There's a spot for everyone. So come on out and play. If you're interested, you can email me at MNlefthanders@gmail.com. Or throw me a follow at any of your social media channels. That's like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You'll see me there posting a lot, talking about golf, pushing the State Lefty Open here. So with that, Thanks for listening, and check back soon for more episodes.